群友商家面对面，房东网2023春季联展
，4月16日上午10点至下午6点。
百花齐宴，百家联展，加拿大最大华人地产投资人社区，为您打造综合服务一站式专业展会。
相约万锦希尔顿酒店。房东网2023春季联展。让我们不见不散。从2015年多伦多东财建筑装修成立以来，装修了近200家大多地区家庭，为客户提供多方面的室内装修专业意见以及服务。公司有500万商业保险，为您的家装保驾护航，优惠价格每平尺39块9毛9起。包工包料，免费设计，免费升级，快速施工，最短时间享受全新地下室。如果您对室内装修有任何问题，请与我们东财建筑装修联系。Green Saving Group 以绿色节能为宗旨，为顾客提供一站式综合性服务。服务包括冷暖气工程安装与维修，水处理及空气净化设备安装及维修，热水炉及热型水炉安装与维修，协助顾客申请政府节能补贴，其主要服务区域为大多伦多地区。Green Saving Group 致力于帮助客户节约能源和降低能源开销，为客户提供全面的节能解决方案，以满足客户的需求和期望。
下面我们再介绍一个对于杠杆的使用。大家也知道，我们房东网知客行俱乐部也已经成立了，我们其中的一个项目就是 Rent to Own。那么今天呢，我们也是请来了我们合作伙伴 Jeff and Mark 来跟大家详细的聊一聊什么是 Rent to Own。您有没有兴趣想怎么样进行这方面的投资 ？Welcome Jeff and Mark from HOS Financial.
Thank you so much, Sean. We're pretty excited to be here because as we've been out in the trade show, we've noticed that there's a lot of people that know nothing about a rent-to-own program. So we're going to really go over every step of the way, and you're going to find it fascinating because this program's been around for quite a while. It's very unique. It's a great way for you to make more cash flow every month than your regular rental property. So if you already own rental property or you're interested in investing, you're going to really understand how a rent-to-own works. So we're pretty excited about it. So we're going to go through, obviously we're going to explain an overview of how does rent-to-own work. And hopefully at the end, we're going to have about a couple minutes where you're going to have questions because it's very similar to regular renting, but there are unique properties about it that you can make more money as an investor. And then we're going to sort of discuss a little bit about HOS. We've been around for over 15 years. We've done over 1,200 of these transactions. And then we're going to explain how you can make money in a rent-to-own program, as well as go over the different plans. There are 3 ways that you can invest in a rent-to-own program with HOS. And of course, in the end, we're going to then take some questions. So first, who are we? Well, my name's Mark Vasilius, and I am a partner at HOS Financial. I'm like you, where I started investing in real estate. I bought my first rental property in 1989. I do have gray hair, which means I'm a lot older, and I've seen the ups and the downs of renting, and that's why I like the rent-to-own program. We're going to show you that you're not going to have tenant problems with a rent-to-own program. Yes, there's always problems, but you're not going to have the kind that I've had, or perhaps the kind that you've had. So I started investing in 1989. I really took off in 2005. I ended up with approximately $87 7 doors, 17 different properties. I then got into the Barrie Aurelia area. I did a couple developments. My last one was 65 townhouses. So I've done some developing. When I met Jeff a couple years ago, I knew about the rent-to-own program, but I never really got my head into it. So once I figured it out, I said, Jeff, I want to be your partner. So Jeff is the CEO, and I'm going to let him take it, and he's going to explain to you how it works, and then I'm going to come back and talk to you about how you can invest in a rent-to-own.
Thanks, Mark. It's great to be here. So yeah, I'm the CEO of HOS Financial. I was actually a business solution consultant and business analyst for 25 years in the business, and wanted to get into my own little real estate investment opportunity. So in 2008, I started to investigate what model worked for me. I'm a very compassionate individual, so the rent to own kind of clicked really well with me, helping families on their path to home ownership. So I started investing in 2008. It wasn't long before I had 10 properties under my belt, and I was generating enough cash flow that I said, hey, I can sit back and quit my job. Well, instead of quitting my job, I actually became the principal owner of HOS Financial, and now I actually think I'm busier now than I was in my full-time job. But now I'm helping families and I'm helping investors on a day-to-day basis with the rent-to-own model. If you don't know what rent-to-own is, I want you to compare some of the things that most of you will do today with a buy and hold, right? We all know what a buy and hold is, right? Buy it, hold it, rent it, hope they pay, fix toilets, change light bulbs, fix stoves, replace appliances, all that kind of stuff. None of that exists in a rent-to-own model. So what we're going to do in a rent-to-own model is we're going to find you a tenant. Together, we're going to find you a property. We're going to put agreements in place that say to that tenant, you have to pay an initial security. You'll pay monthly forced savings. We will sell you the house in a few years, 3 to 5 being a standard term. We will predefine that price and we'll give you the ability to buy this house from us at the end of the term. Now, we normally in a buy and hold have first and last month's rent, right? That's what everybody collects, right? So we're talking in today's market, $4,000 to $5,000, $6,000. In an average rent to own, we are collecting 5% of the purchase price. So on a $500,000 home, we're getting $25,000 in initial upfront security from the tenant. That changes the landscape. That changes who the tenant is. And in fact, it changes it so much, I don't even call them tenants anymore. I call them future buyers. They are going to buy the house from us, and they have a lot of money invested. So do we see defaults? Yeah, sure, but very, very minimal. We'll talk about some statistics. So again, upfront security, monthly extra cash flow, no maintenance because they are responsible for the maintenance. Okay, let's go to the next one, Mark. So Mark mentioned we've been around for a while. Since 2005, I came in 2016. We've done over 1,200 projects, close to $500 million in real estate transactions in that time. And our on-time rent payments are well over 95% on a regular basis, monthly. And you might say, why? Because my tenant, which I call a future buyer, have a lot invested in this home. They're not going to be the typical people who default on rent. So you're getting that rent payment every month. Now our success. You know, I like to say that the reputation of the company, my reputation as an investor and facilitator, the reputation of the rent-to-own industry, because we are the largest in it, all of those reputations have nothing to do with signing contracts. Nothing. It's all about the exit. Seeing that client buy it from the investor and letting that investor recognize their ROIs that we predict. Okay? And we have about a 95% success on those. We have anywhere right now about 400 to 500 live transactions still in process. Okay? Why HOS? You know what? The most difficult part is finding tenants, finding those future partners, those future buyers. So our vetting experience is unprecedented in this industry. We're like bankers, but worse, right? We're going to apply all of those TDS ratios and do the proper vetting and make sure their income documents are in order and have their ID, see their NOAs, get their credit bureau. We're going to do budgets. We're going to analyze their bank statement for the last year so that they understand where they're spending their money. You'd be surprised how many people don't know where they're spending their money on a monthly basis. We have a team that I bet you if you added it all together, we've got well over 100 years in the experience of utilizing this concept of rent to own. We have a structured path to home ownership program that coaches those tenants with financial literacy through their term. So they're actually paying a monthly fee to us to ensure that they are on the right path to home ownership. Passive income is big with investors, right? We like to work less and earn more. Okay, that's what passive investing is all about. So we have great passive investments. Peace of mind on the maintenance side of things, don't worry about it. Our tenants are responsible, but their first point of contact is us. So very seldom will you ever have to engage with these tenants or future buyers. So we manage that client. We believe in no vacancies. Wouldn't that be great? Right? No vacancies mean to us, there is the odd occurrence that a family does not want to continue in the program or perhaps defaults, although we know the percentage to be less than 5%. But there is a chance. There is a risk there. We don't believe you should keep the property. We believe you put it on the market and you sell it as soon as we get that tenant out. And we help with those services. We have planned exit strategies. And of course, we eliminate the barrier of having a house in a local market. How many people, I used to have a rule that I only bought houses within 2 hours from my front door, right? And now I own 4 properties in Alberta. That's nowhere near, on the fastest jet, that's nowhere near 2 hours from my front door. Why? Because the company, HOS Financial, manages those tenants for you.
Pieces of information that make a rent-to-own property very, very different than a regular rental property that many of you have. You end up buying the house, you collect the rent, you deal with tenant issues. We're trying to explain that on the rent-to-own, we don't have as many tenant issues. And I use an example. So I've had, as you know, I've had many rental properties, and for some reason, children love to shove teddy bears down the toilet because they think it's fun. And then what happens is we have a toilet problem. So tenants normally call me as the landlord and say, you have to fix your toilet. In these rent-to-owns, these people, these tenants, are the future buyers. They're going to fix it themselves. I wanted to use that as an actual practical example for those of you that are in the trenches and you collect rent and you deal with. So we solve those problems. So the very first plan, called the Elite Plan, I'll get right to it. Your returns will be anywhere between 20 to about 23% a year on a 4-year term. So like a rental property, you're going to buy the property, you're going to get the mortgage, you're going to get the rent, and then you're going to get top-ups of what, as Jeff mentioned, which is going to be for the future buyer. That's where you make extra money. I know out there, I will guarantee you that if there's a house that one of you want to buy, we look at a rent-to-own program, and you buy it, I will guarantee you the rent-to-own program, you will make more cash flow every single month. I can guarantee it. You may not make as much money in the end, but you're going to make 20 to 22%, and you probably will have way, way less headache. So that's what the Elite Plan is about. Is it the key takeaway for this program on the Elite side is that you have to be able to get a mortgage. So if you're able to get a mortgage and provide the down payment for this tenant, remember these tenants, you're now kind of like in a partnership with. So you don't just treat them as tenants, collect the rent and see you later. You want these tenants to be successful. So it's kind of, as he mentioned, it's a win-win situation. I joined HOS because I really do want to see people get ahead. I'm a first-generation Canadian. My parents had struggled in buying their first home. I believe I can do the same now. I want to help people. Our program does that. So again, the Elite Plan, the main difference is you have to provide a deposit and you have to be mortgageable. The second one is a partnership plan. That partnership plan earns 15% return. However, you do not need to to qualify for a mortgage. The partnership plan is you partner with 58 home in buying these properties. It's a pooled fund where we're going to be buying multiple properties. Your return is going to be a 15%. There is no work involved in this plan. So when I talk about rental properties, your money's going to be invested in rental properties, but there's no need for you to be collecting rent or worrying about any of that. The partners will take care of that. And the third plan, which is the Dwell Trust, it's very similar to the partnership plan where you do not need to get a mortgage. You earn 12% return, but the key thing is you can use your RRSP to invest in rental properties in the rent-to-own program. So I'm hoping I explained, and we've explained most of it. I know that we do have some time left for some questions. What happens when the tenant says, I can't do it, I got to get out? Why don't you handle that, Jeff?
The important thing is that we, as HOS Financial, are engaged in all of those conversations, okay? There's no better source of how many different ways that you can manage that than myself, going through 1,200 of these, okay? So rely on my experience and contact me, and basically I will work through the client to figure out, first of all, are they in good standing? There are different rules for tenants who pay than rules for tenants who don't pay. So we're going to work with them logically. If they don't want in, we're going to list the property. We're going to make them pay for the real estate fees and legal fees to discharge your mortgage and all of that. But we will probably sell it at a higher price because we use moderate appreciations in our calculations and program. We will sell it at a higher price and share in the profit with the client. Okay?
And one of the key things, if a tenant walks away from his contract, is remember, you have 5% of his money. So on a $500,000 home, you have $25,000 to use to get out of the problems. Now, you're not talking first and last. We're talking $25,000. So that's probably the number one question we get. Are there any other questions? Oh, we have one over here.
So how many of your tenants will really buy it out at the end of the...
Yeah, good question. So how many actually complete and exit?
Yeah, we're up near 95% of the families will actually buy. And the reason is because we're not leaving them on their own to figure out how to get a mortgage in 5 years. We work with them on a quarterly basis every year to coach them through financial details, improvements to their credit report, all of those types of things so that they do qualify at the end.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you go to those different cities?
Yep. Like we're right across Canada. Her question was, do we go to different cities? We have properties from BC to Newfoundland. And what'll happen is if you want to join the program with us, we'll just send you emails of all the different properties. And then you say, oh, I like this one in Guelph. I think I like this one in Alberta. You get on our investor list. We'll send you the properties. It's up to you to decide. It's that simple. So we'd love to hear from you more.